Oh, should we go?
Yes, we're getting ready to go. Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to give everyone just like a little minute or two to get settled in. We had a number of signups for this. We're going to mute some of you that aren't on mute um, for this webinar, which I'm super excited about. And then I'm going to spotlight our coaches so you can all see who all is here. And sure, I'm excited that this many people were uh, interested in this webinar. Okay, let's see. I see some familiar faces. I'm just going to give it 1 minute after the hour and we're there so we can start on time. Okay, great. I'll let more people in as they come. But thank you all for joining us. My name is Erin. I am the founder of Agents of Movement. It's a platform where I have podcasts, resources, webinars for movement professionals that are working with older adults. And I try to offer you different resources, ways that we can have innovative programs for older adults to keep them active, but also socially connected. So, this webinar today, we're talking about overcoming barriers and parkour without barriers for people of all ages, all abilities, and how we can scale those movements for all different ability ranges. So, I am trained in parkour for older adults as well as the ladies here. I'll let them introduce themselves in just a moment. We all got introduced by a program called PK Silver, and it was parkour for older adults. We took this training a few years ago and got introduced to each other, and we've been taking it to our communities. I've taken it to a senior living community, assisted living, where I'm working with a lot of people in their 80s and 90s. And I've also taken it to a senior center where I have more able-bodied people, younger population, and they're primarily 70s. So I've been taking it outside with those people inside. We've been doing different things with chairs that we're going to show you. But we really wanted to bring some different movement skills so that you can bring these to your classes for all different ability levels and give you ways to scale them because we know people have a range of abilities and we want to make parkour accessible for all people, all ages, all abilities. And that's the goal of today's presentation. So I'm going to make sure I admit everyone here. That's okay. All right, and we're going to get started. I'm going to start off with Darcy. We're just going to do a quick introduction with all the coaches, a little round robin, and then each of us is going to dive into a movement skill, how we teach it, how we scale it, and how we use it in our classes. So hopefully you all get some real actionable things that you can bring to your classes. So Darcy, with that, I'm going to hand it off to you if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hello, my name is Darcy Olson. I am here in southern Wisconsin in Janesville area. And I am a retired occupational therapist. And as Erin said, we trained in Parkour Silver, and then we have just expanded and grown all the different parkourish things we've been doing. Currently, I'm teaching a class in a independent living condo, 50 and older condo, mainly because my mom is there. So I'm just teaching a free class every Monday, and the people in my class are in their 90s, some younger, but it's pretty exciting.
Thanks. Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan Frickin. I am a physical therapist here in Madison, Wisconsin, and yes, have been part of the PK Silver and then Parkour for Seniors sort of growing movement here. It's been one of the most fun times of my life, let alone professional life, just my general life, to just have fun while helping people to feel more confident moving around, bring up old playful skills, and actually bring them back into their life and have them come back and say things like, I didn't hurt myself when I fell over X, Y, or Z. I did my parkour. So it's just been amazing. So I hope you too have some of this experience.
I'm Barb Brown, and I'm a personal trainer, and I did not do the PK Silver training, but I got pulled into this community with these women and did the movement creative coach training last summer. I teach a class called Learn to Fall Safely. And then Shelby and I created something that combines the parkour for seniors with the Learn to Fall Safely. So we do both skills, and it is really fun. And I really want people to practice actually falling.
You mentioned Aikido.
Oh, and sorry, I always forget. Thanks, Susan. I also practice Aikido and teach Aikido, and that's where the impetus for the Learn to Fall Safely came from. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shelby Copeland. I'm also in Madison, Wisconsin, and I co-teach with all of these awesome humans. We teach two Parkour for Seniors classes. Barb and I co-teach Fall Core, which is our combined parkour and fall practice class. And then I teach another class during the week called Strength and Motion, which is a class for older adults. It's a strength training focused class, but also movement skills. My background is in a movement system called MoveNat. So it stands for like natural movement, the two words put together. It's really parkour adjacent. It's a skill-based movement system. So everything from moving on the ground to lifting and carrying to like advanced parkour skills. So I'm a personal trainer and a coach, and I've just had a blast collaborating with all the people here.
Thanks so much, Shelby. Okay, so we're going to get started. Darcy's going to start us off with the skill that she is going to teach, and I'll change the spotlight to her, and I'll give you the spotlight, Darcy.
Right. So can you hear me all right? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right, good. I have to stand back here so that you can see the things that I'm doing. So I'm going to be talking about just a variety of things that we can do with these wooden blocks, which we call trainers. And they're pretty common in different parkour communities use them. The ones that I had made are about 18 inches long. They're about 5.5 inches wide. They've got a slight bevel on them. And then we have glued, we had to use roofing glue to make it stick well, but glued a non-skid rubber matting underneath. So I use these in every class for every possible thing. I use them for stretching, for coordination, for balance, and for strengthening. And so I'm going to just demonstrate several of the different ideas that we use and ways that we use them. Like I said, I teach a class that has 90-year-olds in it. I also didn't mention another class that I teach. We took the parkour class that Shelby, Susan, and Barb are currently involved in, and we decided to make a first step. So we called it Parkour Senior Getting Started. What was funny is it was advertised as not going to the floor, just learning more of the parts of parkour. And what happened is everyone wanted to do everything. So it's turning into a regular parkour. Anyway, so I just want to demonstrate a variety of things that I do with the trainers.
Darcy,
Yeah.
I just need to talk to Erin. Erin, are you recording?
Yes, it's recording.
Okay, I just want to make
Yeah,
sure because
yeah.
I didn't get the message. Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. So one of the things that we often do is we'll do a variety of stretching activities in any kind of a class, but with the trainers, what we can do is work on our ankles by having people on the trainer dropping their heels to the ground and then coming back up, dropping their heels to the ground. And then also we can have people go all the way up on toes and down, making that much bigger range of motion of their ankles. Another thing that just moving over to strengthening while I'm in this position, one of the activities that I have used even with my 90-year-olds is I will have the individuals on the trainers on the front part of their foot. I'll have them using a handhold. I've got a chair right here. I always have something sturdy. I often or always with my 90-year-olds, I always have two chairs so that they have handholds wherever they reach. Anyway, so the activity that I do is I will have people go up on their toes and then lift one foot and then lower. And in that way, they're doing some eccentric ankle strengthening. And it's just a really powerful way to strengthen the ankles. All right, some other things that I'm doing with the trainers. We just do some really basic stepping over, stepping back. And I don't know if Erin had a chance to post any of the videos of my ladies doing this, but it seems rather simple. And yet in many people's lives, as they get older, they kind of just keep their area of support narrowed up and they're not used to doing sideways movements. I also have them stepping forward, stepping back. Now, if I have people who are either more physically able, would like a greater challenge, I can always increase it. And I could increase it even more. I've got another taller pile back there. So we can be stepping forward and stepping back. We can also do lots of things like stepping on, stepping off, some coordination kinds of things. Just having people plan a movement and execute the movement. Another activity that we do that would fall into the strengthening realm, I'm gonna move my chair, is we have people standing and we can just be doing plain old hip hikes, working on hip strength. But another activity we do when we've got the trainers set up this way is doing leg swings. And my co-instructor, Alice, I don't know if she's on the call today, but she had suggested this movement and we do it every time, which is swing, swing, and then hold. Letting go if they can, if they can't, that's fine. And we repeat that several times, doing both legs, of course. All right. Another way we work on balance and coordination is lining up the trainers. And so I line them up, I'll put 3 in a row. And have individuals just walking. Usually I have the chair or the wall nearby. They can just be walking. Sorry, I don't have my chair nearby. I will put it there so I don't demonstrate falling. So just having individuals walking forward. We do backwards walking. And it's funny, my ladies who are in their 90s often will start out by saying, I don't think I'm going to do that. And they'll say, okay, well, why don't we do it this way? 1 foot on, 1 foot off. Hold the chairs the whole way. We do it in the hallway where there's a rail. And that works very well. We also, I will spread them apart and increase the gaps so that they have a little bit of striding. We can change the gap length so that it progressively becomes more. For individuals that is too much, then they can step, step off, step, and step off. So changing the challenge for each individual so that it is just at pushing the level of what they're able to do so that they are getting a little bit of gain in skill, but it's not scary. They're increasing their confidence, which is great. Let's see. What other things did I have? So we also, this week we did lots of really fun things with the trainers. We did sideways walking. We do have to be careful and not pile them up because of the bevel on them. We did learn that. They do get a little bit tippy, and I'm on a rubber floor, so they are a little bit tippy. That's what you're sort of witnessing here. Let me think, what other things do I do with the trainers? So, we also have used the trainers to make little obstacle courses, just having people do slaloms around them, different things like that. So one last thing that I have done with the trainers at times, and this is not a walking thing, and this is something that'll go a little bit more with the activities that Susan is going to demonstrate, is I'll put them here and have individuals actually move out of their chairs a little bit. Now, as I said, my folks are in their 90s, so we have not been going to the floor yet. We've been teaching this class since October. It's possible we will go to that point, and I'm sure some of them would be willing and some of them would be not willing to do that. But it's kind of a precursor, just getting that sense of moving forward, but having a raised surface in front of them. So I'm happy to answer any questions people might have. about working with the trainers. We had these trainers just made for us locally, but you can order them online through the Movement Creatives website. I think I wrote down.
Yeah, I will add that in the follow-up
Oh,
email.
thank you.
Mhm.
And I think they have them in their store for $35. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
you played balloon volleyball
I did.
with
I
them.
did. Yeah, we sometimes will put the trainers behind the chairs. Everyone will have a trainer there if they choose. And we will play balloon volleyball while people are standing on the trainers. We will, and usually then they'll put more of the middle part of their foot on the trainer. We also do a lot of throwing things because everyone loves to throw things. So we have bean bags, we have the balloons, we have regular balls. My co-instructor Alice bought some balls on, I think she just ordered them, but she didn't inflate them really full, so they're small and very squishy. And these ladies love the throwing. And I did learn, don't have them all throw one direction, have them throw to each other. We play a lot of catch because then if otherwise I'm picking them all up. But this way they pick them up, which means they're bending down to the floor, doing a lot of picking things up. We just did balloons on Monday. We start out on the floor. I then change it up so that their feet are together. And then again, if they're willing, I have them stand on trainers while they're throwing. So lots of ways you can keep modifying it, and people can choose to participate that way, or they can stay at the level where they feel safe.
Great. Thanks so much, Darcy. And I see a
Yeah,
hand. Let's hold questions at the end. So if you just take down your questions, we'll
that's
make sure we have time at the end. And then to my parkour colleagues, I'm just going to make sure we stay on time so that we have time for questions. So I will hand it over to Susan and teach catch falls. Let me change up your
the Olympia
here.
Roosters. I haven't ever been in there, but probably be a good idea for me to take my mom some coffee.
Let's see. Let me just mute. Okay.
Hello, it's Susan. I am going to demonstrate something called catch falls. And catch falls basically was what Darcy started to demonstrate. Learning to land and catch yourself if you fall upon your hands is how we normally talk about it. We also talk sometimes about a catch fall being like, I'm catching my fall by taking a step. We're not gonna, I don't know why I'm so, my head's cut off here. We're not going to do that half of it. We're gonna focus on the upper part of our body because a lot of us don't even put weight through our upper extremities. I'm sure that you've met plenty of people who it's been ages since they've put weight through their arms. So we do a couple things, and do this along with me. So what we do is a lot of warming up and awareness making and activating of the muscles, joints, and tissues around the hands and the wrist. So one of the things we like to do is sort of a warm up. Take your hands, press them together. Keep the heels of your hands together and pull them down as far as you can, keeping your shoulders relaxed. And then flip them over. Put your hands back to back, draw them up gently. Lift them together, pull them down, and we'll do a couple repetitions of that just as a way to stretch those forearm muscles a little bit, some of them, and the hand and wrist tendons, ligaments, getting things a little warm. What we'll also do is encourage people to press through their fingertips. So here, when we catch a fall, and in parkour, it's all about landing softly and landing with control. So we don't want to be stiff and rigid because that makes for breaking things. What we want is absorbing. So we learn to feel through our hands and our feet. We roll through our hands. So if we were to land on our hands, we would want the pads of our fingers to press first. So press your finger pads together. Then press the rest of your hand together all the way down to the heel of your hand. So you're rolling through that. Feel the press. And then pull it apart from the heels all the way to the finger pads. And then repeat that a few times. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Keep your body relaxed. Your face relaxed. Your neck relaxed. A lot of times when we're pressing things, everything tenses up, but we just want to keep it relaxed. So do that a couple more times, rolling in and out. And this is a nice way to get the idea of, oh, I don't want to land with my flat hand. I want to land and roll through my hand so it absorbs the forces and it disperses them. And it might just be somebody trips and needs to put their hand down on the dresser or the wall. So that's a catch fall. It doesn't mean necessarily all the way down, but it might be. If, like me, I fell off my bike one time and did a catch fall just like this. And luckily, I used my parkour. So one way we can begin this, and we begin it for all levels, it's a really nice thing to do for everybody. If you have a chair, you can join in, is like Darcy said, we might not want to go all the way down to the floor, but we might want to bring the floor up. In parkour, for seniors, we do this a lot. We bring the floor up a little bit. So I'm sitting in a chair, and instead of going down already to the ground, I'm going to hinge forward at my hips. I'm going to put my fingertips down first and roll through my hands till it's flat. And I want my whole hand on the surface. I want to try if I can. There might be people who have issues with wrists like rheumatoid arthritis or really awful stuff going on. There are a few people who can't do this at all, but most people can. Most people will say they have pain in their wrists, and it's likely because of lack of strength. So we want to do this to help people's wrists maybe feel better. And one way to feel better when you're putting pressure through your hands, weight through your hands, is to push the finger pads down into the surface. So if your hands are on a surface right now, I want you to press with your finger pads, kind of like you're gonna do like a little sucker hand, like a newt, and push so the palm of your hand is rising a little bit. And feel how that would support your wrist and maybe take a little of the pressure and pain out of it. So when we catch falls from a chair, it's really fun. You can roll right down onto your stool and push off and push yourself back. So roll down and control it, and then reverse it. Push through your fingertips and point them down. You can do it with a lower stool and make it a little harder. You can also try it on the floor. Try to catch fall. Now, if you're flexible, this works very well, but if you don't have a ton of flexibility, this might be hard to keep good, nice hinge form and hit the floor. So one thing that you can do is just have everybody go to the level that their bodies can handle. But one other thing that's really nice is we can start to teach people to kind of get a little riskier. You can do it with the stool or you can do it with the floor, where you actually let your butt come off the floor. So diving the nose over the toes, tucking the feet back a little bit. Once people feel brave enough, catch fall onto the floor, raise the butt, and come back down. And it might be helpful to have somebody in front or even a chair in front, just so that it feels safer to have chairs on the side. So if people get real panicky that they're in this big open space, sometimes just having those guardrails there is really nice. So again, diving forward, letting the nose lead, the hands land and slow us down, and then we push back. So that's a really awesome way, and it's great for all of us to do. It's nice core work as well. So it's a nice warm up for any class that you might have. So now that we've got a little bit of activity going on here. What's that? Oh, okay. Barb is helping me out. I'm going to move the computer because we're going to show you the catch falls on the wall. And this anybody can do anywhere, but here are a few tips. The tip is make sure that you're using a vertical surface that's not going to move. So, for example, I could use this door here, but I want to do it so that if I touched the door, it's going to be the door. I'm shutting the door. I don't want to do it on the door opening side. I'm sure that makes sense. I'm choosing the wall because I have a wall. You could use a refrigerator, you could use a tree, a pole if it's nice and wide. But the idea is make sure that the surface isn't going to move. If this door I'm going to use, I'm going to check it and make sure it's not going to open. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tip this down just a hair. And if you can do this with me, this will be awesome. So we start by standing about the distance so your fingertips are touching, and simply do what we did earlier. Roll slowly down from the pads of your fingers through the hands to the heels, and then push out. a really hard thing for people to do is not bend their elbows, because as we get older, if we're not training skilled movement where we have control over our scapular girdle, a lot of times people are used to moving their arms by bending their elbows and doing everything with elbows.
So I thought I would learn it.
And so shoulder blades on the back, we try to encourage people. We usually take a side step here and try to get people in their bodies nice and aligned in a sort of plank alignment. So whatever way you normally cue that with people, this is a good time to do it. Roll through the fingers to the hands and push away. And this is an amazing strengthening exercise. We call it, hand and wrist push-ups, but the elbows stay totally straight if they can. One of my favorite cues is to try to hold a basketball between your elbows so that they don't end up going, full lizard. So you want them to be straight. So that's what we do. And then for people who are feeling braver, we take a little step away. And so we're not touching the wall. So we lean into it and have a little bit of acceleration. And then we do our catch falls and push away. The further you get, the more risky it is. So if I'm going to catch fall here, I'm going to want to have to bend my elbows now because it's a little too much force for me to accept with just my hands. So I'm going to start to crumple up the chain. So we can start this closer by then bending the elbows and turning our heads away so we don't peck the wall with our face. Also, I'm going to start bending my knees. I'm going to start dropping my butt down because if I go all the way down, I just want to crumple. So we start with the hands and the wrists, then we add the elbows, practicing turning the head away, maybe practicing crumpling the knees and dropping the bum down. And the further I go, the more I like an offset foot, because if I fall toward the wall, then I push myself back with some force. If I push my center of mass past myself, I have this leg here to catch me. If I were standing like this and I shoved myself too far, I might end up going over backward, and that wouldn't be as easy to catch. We do train those things, but we like to keep it safe. So there are multiple ways to play around with the catch fall. So think vertical surface, think doing it from a chair. We can do it to the side, the front, to the side. We often catch falls from the side. And this is really a challenge for getting the shoulder area stronger. So, and we have to do it much closer to the wall to begin with, because it's a lot harder to catch our weight with one arm in a really good way. But you can still do it from the side. So I'm going to leave it at that and pass it off to my dear colleague, Barb. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Sorry about the moving camera. And Barb is gonna, let's see, want to make sure we've got you. Good. Okay. We'll take the dog and move her out.
We're gonna take that possible tripping hazard away. So I'm gonna talk about balance and tripping and falling. And to give credit where credit is due, I got this balance practice from a group called Kapuna Aikido. They teach falling to seniors, and they're online. You can look them up. And normally I would have something that I could hold on to, but I don't right now. And I would love it if you would stand up and do this with me. So, oh, Susan's gonna get me something. And so option to have a support. And I'm just gonna lift, yeah, that's, you can see me. This is coming from the hip and I'm lifting to the front. And I do this 10 times, I've already lost count. And then to the side 10 times. And if you don't need support, that's great. And to the back. And you can put your foot down if it's a little too much. Squeaking. The floor is squeaking. I'm not squeaking. And then pressing in front. Again,
turn to the camera.
Again, you can put your foot down and work up to not needing it. You can use support. I like to just have a hand hovering sometimes. And then we'll do the other side. I'm going to chair and to the front. I hope you're doing this with me. To the side. Usually I start on my good side. I didn't do that today. To the back. And if you're somewhere where the floor isn't quite even, I do this in the Aikido school on a mat, and it's very different, a little more challenge. And in the back. So this is the beginning practice we do. And then we involve a partner if people want, and Susan's going to help me with this. So we start with, I'm going to count. So I'm going to count out loud and I'm going to say 1, 2, push. And when I say push, Susan's going to give me a little push. And we're going to start by going to the front. 1, 2, push. And the idea is that we're simulating a trip over a sidewalk or a route or something like that. 1, 2, push. And I get to say lighter, harder. 1, 2, push. We get the added sound. Now we're going to go to the back. 1, 2, push. Make sure that there's free space behind them. 1, 2, push. And we can do the side as well. 1, 2, push. 1, 2, push. All right, so you can see the simulations here, and there is, some people can just do it on their own if they don't want to be pushed, if they don't want to be touched, or that's just too much. If people are comfortable and good with that, then and they've been practicing falling, we can up the level a little bit. So we'll start same thing. I'm gonna make sure I have enough room here. 1, 2, push. And I can work on my catch fall. The theme here. 1, 2, push. And we can go to the back. 1, 2, push. Oh,
Let me get her.
okay.
I
don't
make
wanna-
sure we clear all the obstacles.
Yeah, I don't want to land on the dog.
Okay, one more.
I might scare her. 1, 2, push. Okay. So lots of options for practicing balance, practicing tripping, and then if people want, they can take it to a fall. And the place where Shelby and I co-teach the fall core class, the combination of Learn to Fall and the Parkour for Seniors is at our local Madison Circus space, and we have a lot of mats where people can fall onto them. I also teach at the Aikido school, which is one beautiful big mat. We haven't done this kind of falling outdoors yet. Yeah. So I would love to hear questions too at the end.
We do in parkour on the grass.
Yeah, and on the grass we do it in the Parkour for Seniors. Yep. Yeah.
Mute.
Thanks, Barb.
All right, am I up next, Erin?
Yes, you are next.
All right, wonderful. So I'm going to be talking about the skill of vaulting. So when you hear the word vaulting, you might think of like a gymnastics vault where we're like basically doing a handstand and going over something. In parkour, there's many different vaults. And I'm going to just define vaulting today as bringing momentum in over an object and then past the object. So we're carrying momentum over something. And so I'm going to break down a skill in parkour called a safety vault. And this is like a foundational vault that it's called the safety vault because it's really stable. We're using 3 points of contact to do this vault. But for older adults, this can be a pretty tricky movement for a few reasons. One is what Susan named, often bearing weight through the arms is not something folks are doing frequently. So we're going to have to be loading wrist and shoulder and doing a fair amount of single arm weight bearing for this movement. And then also hip mobility. We're going to have to bring our leg up, and I'll show you the movement so you see what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do is show you the full movement, and then I'm going to break it into pieces and show you what we do in our class. Erin said this well earlier. It's like presenting a buffet of different movement options, different component parts, like a salad bar. And so, we're all working towards this skill, this vaulting skill, but we get to kind of pick what morsels are going to nourish us today. Maybe we're just working on the hip mobility. Maybe we're just getting our wrists a little bit more comfortable. All of this in parkour, we call prep, like preparation. And it's, I think, a really respectful way of saying scaling or modifying, because we are preparing our bodies for this work, and effort looks different for each person. So wherever you are, your effort counts, your effort matters, and your progress matters, even if that just means, oh, my wrists are a little less sore this week or this month or this year. These things take a long time, as we all know. So I'll show you a safety vault. This is my little vault box that my friend built for me, who's a professional contractor, but really a bench could work, like an ottoman for a couch. Just make sure your surface is really stable before you commit your body weight to it, please. And I'm working at about a little above knee height, so about at my quad. And then I've got like a little baby version of it here. And then I've got a big mama version that my computer is sitting on, and they all nest together. So the safety vault is, I'm going to put my outside leg up on my vault box, my outside arm on my vault box, and I have this leg in the middle left behind. To get it over to the other side, I'm going to push into my hand, push into my foot, and bring my foot over and through. So I'll go the other way. Outside foot, outside hand, pressing, shifting my weight, bringing my leg through, stepping over. So you can see there's a lot going on with this movement. Let's break it down into pieces. And I'm just checking, can everyone hear and see me okay? Yes, okay, excellent. So here's how I would kind of start breaking this piece into its components, into the salad bar, where we get to pick what we want to grab. So the first one is just like getting used to putting weight in our wrists, just like Susan just talked about. So I would set up where most of my weight is in my legs. I'm going to place my whole hand on here, and I'm just going to weight shift from hand to feet. So just starting here. If this is feeling comfortable, maybe I'm going to start working on that hip mobility piece. So I can still work with two hands and then just tapping my foot to the object. And maybe I can't get it high enough, so maybe I'm just tapping midway here, just starting to get a little bit of height. The other option is I set these two objects together to show another option. Like if this is too tall, we can start putting another object on the floor to start getting this shape of our safety vault, but with a gap that our inside leg can travel through. So I like having folks start with two hands, just because it's like a little less intense than the single arm movement. So then next, like if we want to start adding some croutons to our vault salad, I'm gonna, advance this idea of hands and feet. I'm gonna see if I can bring my knee to the vault now. So I have two hands, outside foot. At some point, I'm gonna have to lift the hand just to make room for my knee to come through. So this hand will come up, and I'm just gonna tap my knee to the inside here. So outside foot, tap my knee. So this is a spot that can be pretty sticky for folks. And it's also probably the scariest spot, because as you can see, my center of gravity is getting high, and watch where my head goes. Whoa, there's a great big open void in front of me. This is an intense moment in this movement. So we often, in our classes, we talk about spotting, and we teach people how to be peer spotters. So this would be a really good moment to have a spotter here. And maybe they're like spotting my shoulders. Maybe we have a mat here, you know, like thinking through this moment as we start getting comfortable with this big weight shift. This other really awesome thing that this has emerged in class is we can transition from here. We can just put our seat down. We can just sit. And this immediately gets our center of gravity low. We're on the object. And then we can just pivot off and go this way. This is a different skill. It's called a sit vault, but we're kind of combining these two moments to get through this like big weight shift moment. So I'll show a full sit vault because it's really fun. A sit vault is I'm using my bum as my point of contact, and I'm using hands kind of as like my rudder to steer me. And then I can be as dramatic with my legs as I want. So this is like the least dramatic version. And I'm going to be super dramatic with this one. So that is a sit vault. But we have seen students kind of adapt and create their own version of a safety vault. And I'm putting these two together. So I'll just kind of summarize where we're at so far. Hands, foot, knee comes to the vault, sit, shift, exit. So if folks are feeling comfortable with the mobility and the strength part with this, with the shoulder, we can also have people start doing this sit through moment. This can be trained on the ground as well, if being on this elevated surface is a little bit too intense feeling. So once people are at this stage, they're basically ready to go over at this point. They've done the hardest part, that big compression, stepping through, coming up and over. And this is where having that secondary surface is really helpful. If like someone has had a hip replacement or has like mobility restrictions, then we create this gap here where people can still get that nice step through, but they're not having to lift their hips as high. And the cool thing about this is we can gradually raise the surface as they become more comfortable or as their mobility improves. So again, we've got, this is our movement. And then a lot of these movements can be trained on the floor as well. So I'll show you a sit through version, and then I think I'm probably out of time. So let's see. So yeah, I can practice my sit throughs on the ground here. So that I'm loading my shoulder, I'm getting that same outside hand, outside foot pattern, and I can just practice this part or bringing the knee through to start getting that strength and that movement pattern. So I will leave that there with vaulting, take questions at the end. But yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Shelby. Let me get myself spotlighted. Okay. All right, so I'm going to use wall space. I'm going to talk about crawling. So crawling is a really great way to, one, start loading the upper extremities and start building strength in our wrists, our shoulders, our hands, and it's very scalable. And when you do it at a wall, it's a great way to start introducing people to getting lower to the floor and getting more comfortable on a floor and getting them into those floor transfers. I kind of got a weird, awkward space here. But I'm going to try to show you here in this corner, and I might kind of have my back face to you. So I'm going to do my best to face you, talk to you, and then demonstrate what I'm doing. So if you have a wall space, go ahead and get near a wall space. And when we think about quadruped, we think about animals, right? Like animals are on all four limbs. So we don't want to be in normal human mode. We want to be in critter mode, which means that we've lowered our center of gravity, our hands are out, and they're getting ready to support us. So if you're in critter mode and you're near a wall, I'm going to use a door here. We do lots of wrist conditioning, like Susan was talking about, in catch falls and in vaulting. So all these skills are kind of starting to overlap and really lead into each other. But if we're on that, on that door, I'm just trying to see my screen here so I can see what you all are seeing. Okay, so we're in critter mode. We have our hands out. We're getting ready to support ourselves on our wall or our door. And we have that whole real estate of that hand connected to the floor or to the wall. So we have that little bend in our elbows. Butts and guts are engaged. And we want to come off of our heels. You probably can't see my feet too well, but we want to come forward, right? So we're starting to load those hands. We're starting to put some weight into the hands. We're pushing into that that door or that wall, right? And we can start getting a rhythm going here, just in place. Your hands and your feet. So we're just walking in place. Our elbows are soft, and we got that pushing action going. We're getting people comfortable using their hands. And we can start taking this a little bit lower. So we keep that stepping pattern, and we can start walking our hands down low and up high. And people can get to that point where they're getting to a 90-degree angle, right? So if they can keep that flat back, we can get them down low, and then they're still walking. And we can even do this laterally. So we're moving to the side. We still keep those bent elbows. A big cheat is people have these stick arms and they're walking across. We don't want that. We want to stay up on our heels. We want to keep those elbows soft and start moving laterally. And we can add different directions to this. So we can start making waves up high, down low, going to the side. People are getting more comfortable using their hands. Then we can progress this by getting lower to the ground. So like I said, as we come down, you can start getting to that point where you're getting that 90-degree angle, and then maybe you're coming back up. So we want to get people more comfortable getting closer to the ground, starting to develop that relationship with the ground. For those people that can maintain a flat back and can get below 90-degree bend in their knees and get their hands flat on the floor, they can come down from the wall down to the ground. So now we're in the full quadruped on the ground, and then coming back up onto the wall and walking up the wall. Lots of hands and wrists in this one, so you want to get lots of shake breaks, hot potato hands, give them a lot of rest if they've been doing a lot of wall crawls, and flappy hands like you're an excited T-Rex. And then we can even take this so that we can start doing some practice of bailing out. If we come down low, right, we're coming down, and if we lose connection with the wall, we can have one hand on the wall, one hand on the floor. If we lose connection, we can brace ourselves, come back up. So getting them closer to the ground, one hand on the wall, one hand on the ground, disconnect, and coming back up. Letting each hand have a chance to have a connection with the wall and the floor, and bringing it back up. So again, they're still loading their hands. They're getting used to that. And so this helps carry over to catch falls, to vaulting, that your hands are another set of support systems. So we're not just relying on our feet. If we're tripping, like you saw Barb, she got down to the floor and she came back up. So starting with a wall crawl is a great way to meet people where they're at. And if they're seated, Darcy was showing that she had somebody, you know, on a chair and they're reaching forward. It's the same idea. So they're in that chair hinge. Let me see, here on my chair. Awkward space here. I got my bench. So I'm reaching forward to an object that could be lower to the ground, higher to the ground, depending on their comfort level, but they're getting used to putting weight into their hands. And if they're comfortable, they have the ability of their legs to support them. They can come up, and now they can start crawling on objects that are lower to the ground, whether it's ottomans. I do this a lot on countertops with my senior living folks. Chairs, arms of really sturdy chairs that they're crawling across them. And it can be a fun way to warm up your class, is just have them walk around their space with their hands and start getting a feel for their environment. What objects are steady? What objects aren't steady? If we were to crawl around, what objects would you want to use to help you get you back up? So getting into that quadruped mode is really helpful. And then of course, for those people that are super advanced, getting them down to the floor, crawling on the floor and getting them into rolling and advancing it even further. But a wall is a great place to start with crawls. So those are some ways that you can scale crawling for older adults. I'm going to take my spotlight off. Actually, I'm going to add some people to my spotlight. I want to have some time for questions at the end, and go ahead and pop your questions into the chat. And I'm going to bring my coaches back. I know, Marla, you had a question there. So let me just spotlight. Okay. So if you have questions, put them into the chat. We really want to see more coaches doing parkour. So I'm going to transfer myself to my next computer. Give everybody a minute to ask a question. And then Susan, if you want to talk about maybe just for a minute about the online community of parkour coaches that we're trying to build, we're working on building, we are building.
Yeah. Hi, it's me again. So many of you and many of us, and other people around this country, this continent, actually, worldwide, we're part of this movement of, hey, let's make movement for older adults more functional, more challenging, more playful. And we're creating an online community for, it's going to be very focused for anybody interested in this kind of natural movement parkour for seniors and for seniors specifically, so that we can support each other and share resources, which many of us kind of do with, each other individually and in small groups. But we want to build like a little hub where you can go if you're like, okay, have a class, I want to do a thing, kind of like I think it was Catherine said, the curious movement and balance. Like, yes, Catherine, we want you to be part of this community. We want to like hear your ideas. We want to share ideas. We're creating a YouTube channel so we can demonstrate things like this and have them there for you to look at and have you share your ideas with us. So we want to just sort of co-create, and we want it to be available to anybody who's already doing it or maybe who wants to do it. So Erin's going to put my email address in the follow-up, because we're still trying to create like the best place for it, but we're working on it and we want you to be part of it when we're ready to go.
Thank you. So we have a couple questions. One is, can we share the particulars of making a trainer? There are some instructions. There's a YouTube instructions where you can do it with 2x4s. There's a few ways you can make them. Darcy, do you have instructions? I'll
Yeah,
also follow up with how you can order them.
Right. So, like I was saying before, the dimensions on this one would be 18 by 5.5 by 1.5. So it was an inch and a half this way, 5.5 inches wide with a slight bevel. So I think now you can see what level of bevel we have. The ones that we've gotten from the Movement Created have a little more bevel to them, a little smaller on the very top, but they're very sturdy and beautifully heavy. This one is made out of a 2x4, or must have been a 2x6 to be this wide, and then with rubber matting glued on the back. So you want to make sure that if you do make them out of a 2x6 on your own, that it's a very flat piece of wood. A lot of times you get them and they've got a little bit of a warp to them, so it needs to be really flat.
Thanks.
And it could be any wood. I have them out of other things too.
Thanks, Darcy. Okay, so parkour for seniors outdoors in parks. Any considerations that we would recommend?
It's so fun.
I can speak to that. So right now I'm trying to build a parkour park in our city. So I've been looking at a lot of parks. Really all you need is some kind of like accessible playground. When I say that, I mean like, if you have folks who are using walkers or canes, like just thinking about the path and the access to the park itself. A park that like we have been using an accessible park, so a park that is wheelchair accessible. And what's nice about that is there's ramps and then rails. And so that is really accessible for older adults as well. And they tend to have ground cover that like a wheelchair wheel could go over. So like a rubberized, like, but yet a flat textured ground cover. And that's also really nice too if you're getting up and down off the ground. The only downside is it can get really hot. So depending on what climate you're in, it can really hold heat. And so either do like a morning class or hopefully find somewhere with a shade structure. And then, we just have been so delighted by using spaces in a multi-generational way. Like when we're there, the park isn't closed. We aren't reserving it. We're just using a public space. And it's so cool how children will observe and then often like engage or participate. So that's one of my favorite things is using a public park is that engagement piece.
I wanted to say we've had a really fun time. Sometimes we use a space, like we'll go onto the grass and we'll get down to the ground, and it'll be sloped. And we'll actually use the slope to help people with rolling. It can facilitate a roll where it might be difficult if we're doing sideways rolling or forward shoulder rolling, or the going uphill kind of supports people and keeps them from moving too quickly downhill. So depending on what way we're doing a skill, it can be a challenge. It can actually help and support people. So the terrain makes a difference. And I think Shelby's point is if you're outside, just think about the weather, think about shelter, think about shade in the sun.
Yeah. Has anybody used these techniques with Parkinson's patients?
I've done parkour adjacent movement with people living with Parkinson's, so rock climbing and ninja, which is like an obstacle course sport. And it's really cool. There's a program called Rock Steady Boxing, and they'll bring their community to different like gyms. I get to be at both gyms. So I feel like it's similar to parkour. And it was really amazing. First of all, what folks were capable of with support, and like resting tremors like going away on the wall. It's just very interesting to see. So I think for me, I was like, I'm just not going to go in with any assumptions. I'm here to learn and observe, and I think that strong community component was really essential. But in our parkour class, I haven't. I don't know, Barb or Susan, if you have.
Susan?
We haven't specifically, but
No,
what I'll
we don't.
say from a physical therapist point of view is what I love about parkour is we also encourage people to be responsible for themselves and to know themselves and to help us understand what they're going through so we can properly guard, support, and set up options. So I don't think we have to set up separate movements for everybody. And somebody else actually spoke to pain and fear. Whatever people are feeling in their bodies, whether it's knee pain, hip pain, they've had a surgery, they've got osteoporosis, we need to just make sure we're knowledgeable enough about what that person's going through and understand it, work with their other medical providers if we don't, and make options that are safe for them. So I think, it's a little bit about getting creative, but I don't think this is limited to anybody. It might limit the kind of a mix you have. Like you don't want a huge mix of people who can barely move with people who move a lot. So that's the kind of tricky part, but all comers. And that's the beauty of parkour. What's neat is like Shelby did a great job of scaling all kinds of movement, and somebody with Parkinson's could do one of those versions for sure. And so yeah, I gotta stop talking.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and that was a great question. I don't know if any of you will have like one more minute before we start closing up, but techniques for encouragement with fear and movement stiffness, things stated like that. Yeah. Options, options, options. Yeah, Susan.
Oh, do you want to? Okay. We're both available. Yeah, I think acknowledging it, and we talk about fear being one of the risks for falling. And then giving, like Erin said, options, lots of options.
Keep talking.
So I think that it's really important to acknowledge people's concerns, and sometimes depending on the group, can need to be limited, but getting them to talk to each other about that a little bit. And we also teach spotting so that if there's something that they're concerned about or we're concerned is risky, then we tell them they need a spotter.
The other thing we've done that has been very successful is done mindful body scan and sort of a yoga nidra based meditation where people feel the fear in their body and where is it, and they try to imagine what it would feel like to feel differently while they were doing a scary thing. And Shelby has all kinds of wonderful things. You'll have to hear the different thing about, challenging your edge in parkour. So lots of different ways.
can I say one just super, super quick thing about that? I have like 1,000 things to say about this, but play, just play. Like play is the side door. Play is the secret passage. Play is the it's the opposite of fear. It's self-trust. So like, I'm not saying like go play at the edge, like, but play way below your edge, but like getting people socially safe, like maybe even a little socially silly, sometimes can help people kind of like access effort and challenge in a different way. So that's just one idea.
Thanks. All right, we're at the top of the hour. I'm just going to take a few seconds here to stay in touch with Agents of Movement. The website is agentsofmovement.com. You can email me with any questions. Everybody here will be getting a link to the recording as well as some of the resources we talked about. Sign up for the Agents of Movement newsletter. I send it out nearly every week about innovative programs, ways that you can keep people engaged, socially connected, and let's advance. We also have a workshop coming up in Madison, Wisconsin with Movement Creative. It's a live workshop, 2 days. It's incredibly fun. You'll get a link to this training if you're on this call. Great way to meet other people that are like-minded and have a really good time with training. And then our next webinar is going to be May 20th, talking about the pelvic floor and how to cue pelvic floor when you're doing physical activities. So this is all that we have coming up. You'll get a recording and links to all of this. Thank you so much for joining this call. I'm so excited to see more coaches are excited about this format, and we'd love to hear how you're bringing this to your communities. Thanks so much for your time. Have a great rest of your day.